Okie dokie, dear listeners. Segment 3 of today's episode of the Soule of Wisdom. I am Dan. Thank you for joining me here. Before we get started, in segment 2, we opened up the Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar, and I told you we got a sand people. There is our sand. Well, get in focus. All right. If you're watching on... There it goes. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you can see the sand guy, the sand people guy. Very cool. Told you he would dance. There he goes. Or whatever sound they make. I'm not good at sounds. I don't know why the camera doesn't want to focus on him very well. It keeps focusing on me. There we go. The trick is to put him in front of my head. That makes all the difference. Okie dokie. So we'll go ahead and set him on the shelf behind me. Alrighty. Okay, we're going to go ahead in this segment and dig into a little bit of COVID crazy, because that seems to be just a big part of everything right now. And there are 3 stories in particular that in and of themselves are separate things about COVID, but they all kind of intertwine if you're able to play along with me, and I think you will be. Before we go there, please do like this show. Please do subscribe if you're not already. Please do share this show with others. It does help us get out in front of other people, and we appreciate the help as we continue to grow. Okie dokie, you have a black screen. Why do you have a black screen? There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and dig into this, shall we? First article from Fox News. California school offers boy pizza to get vaccinated, tells mom not to say anything, mom says. Or tells him not to say anything, mom says. Okie dokie, a California mother has claimed that her 13-year-old son was told not to say anything after being given a COVID-19 vaccination in exchange for pizza at the school without her consent. Maribel Duarte told NBC Los Angeles on Monday that her son recently came home from Barack Obama Global Prep Academy in South LA with a vaccination card, telling her that he accepted the shot after he was offered pizza. It hurts to know he got shot without my permission, without knowing and without signing any papers for him to get the shot, Duarte said, adding that she is vaccinated and is not anti-vaccine. The mother told the station that the woman gave her son the shot and signed the paperwork, told him, "Please don't say anything, I don't want to get in trouble." Article goes on to say that the LA Unified School District has seen an enrollment drop of 6% at the start of the year due to vaccine mandates. And a spokesperson for the district said there's a vaccination deadline approaching on January 10th. The program offers incentives to families who upload their proof of vaccine, have an improved medical exemption, or have conditional admissions. Spokesman said the vaccines are an essential part of the multi-layered protection against COVID-19 that will help enable students to stay healthy for in-person learning. Okie dokie. Next article, also from Fox News. An Illinois Democrat files measure to punish unvaccinated for clogging up the healthcare system. Illinois Democrat who claims the unvaccinated are clogging up the healthcare system has proposed a bill that would force them to pay all of their medical expenses out of pocket if they become hospitalized with the coronavirus. The measure, set forth by State Rep. Jonathan Carroll, comes alongside news that the average coronavirus hospitalization costs $24,000. The vaccine is proven to be the one thing that is stopping the severity of COVID-19, and we are seeing more variants popping up. The experts are telling us this is now becoming a disease of the unvaccinated. People that are choosing to get vaccinated are not the ones that are clogging up the healthcare system, it's the ones that aren't. Carroll's proposed bill states that a person who is eligible to receive the vaccine and chooses not to be vaccinated shall pay for healthcare expenses out of pocket if the person becomes hospitalized because of COVID-19 symptoms. If passed into law, the changes wouldn't affect Illinois residents until January of 23. Okie dokie. Article number 3, this one from CNBC. Omicron significantly reduces COVID antibody protection in small study of Pfizer vaccine recipients. South Africa scientists say the COVID Omicron variant significantly reduces antibody protection, although people who have recovered from the virus and received booster will likely have more protection from severe disease. They found a 41-fold drop in the ability of antibodies to neutralize the Omicron variant compared with the original virus, a dramatic reduction from its performance against the original ancestral strain as well as other variants, according to a preprint of the study. It talks about how they did the study, which is a whole bunch of things that we don't need. This is interesting, though. One person who was interviewed said, "I don't think it's good news to have something that spreads fast." They were talking about how this Omicron variant spreads fast. Spreads fast means it will be in billions of people and another mutation may come. You don't want that. Okay. So let me try to tie all of this together. So in LA, you've got a school who allegedly vaccinated a student without the parent's permission. And the reasoning behind the vaccine mandates and them putting the jab into the arms of the children as that this will help protect them. Okay? You have in Illinois a state rep who is trying to pass a bill to get Illinois residents to pay for their hospitalization if they get hospitalized because of COVID and they haven't received a vaccine. And his reasoning is that this is becoming a disease of the unvaccinated. Okay. Forgive me, a little hoarse all of a sudden. Then you have a CNBC article that talks about this study that was done, and they're saying in South Africa, where this originated, they're finding that the effectiveness of the current vaccine against the Omicron variant has dropped 41-fold. So before I go any further, we've said this before, and I will say it again, we are not anti-vaccine here at the Soule of Wisdom. I am not. Producer wife, who is not with me here today, is not anti-vaccine. What we are is pro-talk to your doctor. It is not perfect for everybody, and we know this because we have a couple people in this house that can't do it. And they can't do it for medical reasons. So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and that's okay. You have to make the determination of what works best for you. So we always say, talk to your doctor. You make your medical decisions that work for you. But I find it interesting that you have the medical community admitting, at least with these initial studies, that this vaccine against the new hip happening variant, Omicron, the one that's going to spread and is spreading very fast, how it's not as effective by 41-fold against Omicron. It's not going to work as well. But yet you have a school saying you have to do this so you can be protected. And you have an Illinois representative saying, because people are stupid and aren't doing this to make sure they're protected, we're going to make them pay for their medical in full. But then the vaccine itself, as studies are showing, isn't going to work as well against this variant. But the other thing that none of this has pointed out that I read, but it isn't hard to find if you go looking for it, they're saying, as all of the data comes in for people that have been affected with Omicron, that this is nowhere near as big of a deal medically as any of the other variants have been. It seems like you are fatigued for a day or two, you might have the sniffles or a cough, and then life goes on. It is the equivalent of catching cold from everything I can gather. Now, I've also heard argument from many different medical sources that that may be a blessing in disguise, because if you have this less critical strain of the virus running through the population, then it is a way for us to build some natural immunity without some of those pesky, tricky side effects that cause us to be hospitalized. So I also found it interesting in the article on the Illinois guy that it was saying that this is moving fast, but you don't want that to happen because another strain might come about. I am not a medical expert. I am not a doctor. But I've done a lot of research and a lot of reading because here at the homestead, we take care of a couple of elderly people who are in the quote unquote high risk group for COVID. They have underlying other conditions that mean if they got COVID, it could be a problem for them. So we've had to become fast students of this stuff over the last almost 2 years now, and we have kept up on everything. And I will tell you that this thing is going to affect everybody sooner or later. It's going to keep mutating because this is beyond being a pandemic at this point. The pandemic, in my personal opinion, is over with. It is now endemic. It is like the flu. It's going to keep coming around, and it's going to be mutated just a little bit every time. But as viruses go, and this one seems to be following the normal path, viruses, as they mutate, tend to get less and less and less deadly because they can't keep killing off the hosts. They need to live. So they need to get in there and burrow and do their thing, do their little virusy thing. But if they keep killing off the people that they live in, then there's no place for them to go. So it's following that kind of natural viral mutation that seems to happen. And I think as time goes on, this is going to be less and less of a thing that we should worry about, and more of just something that we deal with, like the flu or like a cold. You're going to get sick once or twice a year. That's just part of being human. But for some reason, we've decided that this is the thing that we're going to just be frightened about, we're going to be scared to death about. But the statistics, even when it was at its most deadly, didn't bear out this kind of panic, in my personal opinion. It certainly bore out the concept of safety, like what we did here at our homestead, because again, we have a couple of people who are in the high-risk group. We protected them, and we made sure that they didn't come in contact with the virus, and they never got it. But, we took the precautions that we needed to take. If we didn't have them in the home, if it was just us, we might have approached it a little bit differently, because you have to assess your own risk. But we're beyond, I think, that point now of having to assess dire risk, and more just to that point of it's just something we're going to have to deal with. And I think as a society, we're going to just have to finally come to terms with that. This thing's going to be here. It's going to mutate. But as it's mutating, it's getting to be less and less severe. So that's good. We're going to build up some natural immunity to it, but we're still probably going to get a little bit sick from time to time as it comes our way in another mutated form, just like we do from the flu, or just like happens with the common cold. But we all deal with it, and it's not a big deal. We take a day or two off, we rest up, we feel better, and life goes on. And I think that's where this thing is headed. But certainly, I don't think any of this demands the idea that a school should be putting a jab in the arm of a student without the parent's permission. That, in my personal opinion, is bordering on criminal. And I certainly don't think a state rep should be excluding a segment of the population from insurance coverage because he thinks that everybody should get the jab in the arm, which, as I've illustrated earlier, isn't necessarily appropriate for everybody. So those are my thoughts on all of this, and I will leave it there for today. Please do visit us at soulewisdom.com, S-O-U-L-E, wisdom.com. Please do like, subscribe, share, help us get the show out in front of others. Thank you for listening, and we will see you all tomorrow. Take care.